France asserted their superiority over Kuwait, who were competing in their first ever FIFA World Cup, by registering a convincing 4-1 triumph in the group stage of the 1982 edition in Spain. The French team, filled with talent and international pedigree, dominated proceedings for much of the encounter, and the margin of victory could easily have been even larger had it not been for one of the most extraordinary and controversial incidents ever witnessed in the history of the competition. The unusual episode unfolded when French midfielder Alain Giresse found the back of the net with what seemed to be his team's fourth goal of the match. At that precise moment, however, the Kuwaiti players stopped playing, under the impression that the referee, Miroslav Stupar, had blown his whistle to halt the game. The sound that misled them did not, in fact, come from the referee at all but from the crowd, yet the players, feeling aggrieved and wronged by what they believed was an unfair situation, immediately began to protest. The matter escalated dramatically when Sheikh Fahad Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, the president of the Kuwaiti Football Association and a highly influential member of the Kuwaiti royal family, descended from the stands and made his way directly onto the pitch. In an unprecedented move, he confronted referee Stupar face to face, passionately arguing that the goal should not stand. Incredibly, the referee relented under the pressure and annulled the goal, a decision that left spectators, commentators, and football officials around the world stunned. The incident became an unforgettable example of how off-field authority momentarily overshadowed the authority of the match official, something rarely, if ever, seen at the World Cup. Although the decision briefly gave Kuwait a sense of reprieve, it did little to change the overall outcome, as France maintained control and eventually wrapped up the match with a comfortable win that highlighted the difference in quality between the two sides. For Kuwait, their presence at the 1982 World Cup was already historic, as it represented their first and only appearance on football's grandest stage. In most countries, such a debut would be remembered as a landmark accomplishment, a source of national pride, and a cherished sporting memory that could inspire future generations. However, Kuwait's brief stint at the tournament has instead been remembered almost entirely for the controversy that overshadowed their performances. Their campaign had begun on a hopeful note with a 1-1 draw against Czechoslovakia, a result that suggested the Gulf nation was capable of competing respectably against more established teams and perhaps even springing a surprise. That promising start raised expectations back home, and with Sheikh Fahad, a central figure in Kuwaiti football and one of its most passionate advocates, present in the stands, there was a genuine belief that Kuwait might create a historic upset against a European giant. But when the crucial clash with France arrived on June 21, 1982, Kuwait quickly discovered the steep challenge of facing a side brimming with skill, tactical intelligence, and experience at the highest level. The French players imposed themselves with authority, moving the ball fluidly and exploiting Kuwait's defensive weaknesses, leaving the underdogs struggling to contain their attacks. The infamous intervention by Sheikh Fahad ensured that Kuwait's story would forever be remembered, not for moments of brilliance on the pitch, but for an extraordinary act of protest that shook the footballing world. What could have been a chapter of pride and achievement instead turned into a tale of debate, controversy, and disbelief. To this day, Kuwait's only World Cup appearance is etched into memory not because of their results but because of an incident that captured global attention and cemented their place in the tournament's folklore as the protagonists of one of its most bizarre and dramatic episodes.